So hello everyone, and welcome to today's presentation, 3 Ways to Attain Reliable CRM Data. My name is Jill McConaughey, and I'm the Manager of Marketing and Customer Success here at LinkPoint 360. Before I get started with the presentation itself, I do want to go over a few brief housekeeping notes. All attendees are muted and placed in listen-only mode for the duration of the webinar. You can make the presentation full screen for easier viewing using the GoToWebinar viewer and related buttons. And you can feel free to submit any questions you have for me today or your own use cases for discussion by using the questions section in the GoToWebinar panel. I will be pausing along the way to review those questions, and we'll also have time at the end for Q&A if you'd like to go over any specific use cases. I am recording today's webinar, and I will send a link of the recording out later today to everybody who attended as well as everyone who's registered. So, as far as today's topic, I know Salesforce adoption and reporting are a big ticket item that come up in my discussions with customers and with prospects. They're key to determining mostly the CRM ROI in your organization. But a CRM is often only as valuable as the data that it can contain. So when we work with clients, our team starts by assessing on a per client basis what value the CRM can bring to that company. What are the metrics or data points that are important to you? What touch points do you need help capturing? LinkPoint Connect then is designed to make it easier for users to work from their inbox or have as uninterrupted workflow as possible while still meeting your Salesforce goals. So this applies not only to just sales users, but it can happen with support teams, account management, and really any customer-facing personnel in your organization. So today I'll be presenting 3 ways that you can get reliable CRM data depending on some specific use cases, all of which can be addressed by a LinkPoint Connect edition that allows companies to optimize their data while letting users remain in email throughout the day. And these use cases are based on a lot of best practices that we've done and some of the more common things that we've run up against with customers and prospects over the years. But if you're new to LinkPoint 360, as a brief introduction, we have provided email integration solutions for over 17 years now, and our focus has always been on enhancing end user productivity while also making sure to improve the CRM adoption and ROI experience for organizations. We do support a variety of CRM and email platforms with standard and custom integration and a variety of environments where our software can be deployed. So depending on your unique setup, we are typically able to help accommodate that. Now with LinkPoint Connect, that's designed to streamline how the users do work between email and CRM, and that can be done by either adding information to the CRM or viewing content from CRM within the email application itself. So we currently offer 3 editions of our software, and you'll get to see each of these in action a little bit throughout today's call today. But essentially our desktop edition is our classic. It's what the majority of our customers have come on board with over the years. It's a PC install, and you can record emails, you can create records, you can sync. There's a whole ton of functionality packed into that. The Plus edition is everything that I just said is in desktop, but we've added an extra layer with meeting notes and field updating in Salesforce. So it's another way to continue to enhance the data in your CRM. And our Cloud Edition is the most recent add-on to our product offering, and it's a unique alternative for companies that either have a mix of cross-platform users, have people running on Mac or mobile. It's a little bit more automated and has a very different feel. But one of the benefits is there's nothing to install and it's all server-based. So again, it just depends on your workflow and your use cases, which is why we're going to be doing a little bit more of a use case-focused presentation today. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to focus on 3 ways that you can attain reliable CRM data and how LinkPoint Connect can help achieve those goals. I will stop along the way to see if there are any comments. I'm keeping an eye on that panel right now. And if you have your own examples you'd like me to discuss or questions about any of our products or features, you can send those my way. I did also make sure to check. I see quite a few people submitted some concerns or use cases during the registration process, so I will make sure to touch on as many of those as possible where I can today. So I'll be looking at reliable CRM data through three main areas today, and that's recording emails, whether automatically or selectively, and how you can be sure they went to the correct record, syncing calendars, which can be pretty key for accurate CRM reporting, and then capturing meeting or call notes. This can give you clear insight into account interactions, staff coaching opportunities, have better pipeline projections. So again, this is all about the data being reliable in your CRM so that your business can benefit and realize the full value of the CRM, which is where the bulk of the cost goes for these sorts of things. So I'm going to switch gears here, and I'm actually going to go ahead and hopefully show you my Outlook. And again, if you can't see my Outlook, send me a chat, let me know. But I'm going to start by talking about the email recording. And email recording is one of the top reasons that clients do turn to LinkPoint 360, especially for Salesforce integration, which is what I'll be focusing on today. And all three of our editions support recording emails, and they approach it from a variety of angles. And when you're trying to pick the best one for you, it really does depend on your environment and your workflow needs. Desktop and Desktop Plus editions both let users one-off record emails to select Salesforce records from a PC. The functionality works the same for inbound or outbound emails. The great part about this from a reliable data standpoint is that you can direct exactly where you want the email to go. So let me show you what that looks like here. So I'm in my inbox and I have an email here from a contact, and I know he's a contact because my LinkPoint Connect side panel has found him in Salesforce and is presenting me with a whole bunch of data about him. So his initial contact information, all of his related table fields, and etc. Well, let's skip ahead to the email recording. So I can go to this top left corner, and for purposes of today's presentation, I'm just going to focus on the record window. So you're going to want to click this record to Salesforce button. Now I will show you if you have an outbound, let's just do this, an outbound email, the buttons are very similar. So you'll see the send and record option here. The only difference, other than a little bit of naming changes, is our system will send the email as well as record the email here. So just showing you. We'll go back here and I'll go ahead and click this record button. In either case, you are going to end up with, and we'll make this a little bigger so you all can see that hopefully pretty well here, our record window. So the first thing our system does is it queries Salesforce based on all of the email addresses, scooch this down, on the email and looks for any and all matches. So it found Fred and it found Jake. And it moved their records here to the right side of my screen as suggestions for where I might want to record the email to. Now I don't have to take those suggestions. If you mouse over, you'll get these little red X's, and I can click that and remove it pretty simply. Everything else happening on the left side is where you're going to see the related information. So when you're talking about reliable CRM data, it's one thing to record an email to Fred's record. It's another thing to make sure it gets back to that opportunity or that case or really the record that is most relevant to the email content. So it's going to query and find all of the opportunities and cases that it thinks are related to Fred. And I can simply mouse over any one of these, here's a case, and click this little green arrow and move it to the right side of the window. This is going to list everywhere and anywhere that I want the system to record the email. Now, another neat thing you can do is you can search for something that's not necessarily related. So if I have a partner that I want to try to relate this to, or another record or contact record that I want to pull it to, I can search for anything I need to. So for demo purposes, just going to search for record. And it's going to query the system and it's going to find everything related. So I got my colleague Lauren in this case just for demo purposes. You'd likely be searching for a more relevant contact than a colleague, as well as her account and other cases. So I can really get a feel for this. I'm going to go ahead and select Lauren, and I can refresh the search and I can continue to drill down. Now you will see that there is a limit on the number of those Salesforce what records or those related records. So we do recommend picking the one most relevant to the email content, but you can stack quite a few contacts up here without hitting any limit. I believe the limit is 50 records, and that's likely dictated by Salesforce. This email behind the scenes here has an attachment on it. I can also choose by clicking here on this little checkbox to record the attachment to all of the selected records as well. And that's email recording. So it's pretty simple. It can be as quick as a few clicks if the content that it pre-selects and finds for you meets your exact needs. It can take a little longer, but be more robust if you have specific records that you absolutely want to search for. And with a click of a button, the email gets tagged with a CRM code so that I know in my inbox that it went. And down here in the bottom corner, I get a little confirmation message that says the email was successfully recorded. And that also did, in that case, take over the attachment. So from an email recording standpoint and reliable data standpoint, you're going to get pretty targeted email recording with our record window. Now, what if you're not necessarily PC-based? What if you are on an iPad or you are on a Mac? How does that work? Well, another solution that we offer is actually our Cloud Edition, and I'm just going to pop that up so you can get a feel for it. And if you're interested in this, we do complete demos on all the different solutions. But essentially, you can come into a web portal, you can configure your Exchange and Salesforce accounts, and you can set your email sync to either run automatically all of the time behind the scenes. So as I'm interacting with contacts, I can absolutely just have it automatically record to those. And here's our configuration screen. So you could choose this mode to sync all emails where there's a match. But we're talking about reliable CRM data, and this is certainly a reliable option. It will record all those emails. But if you're looking to get, again, a more granular email recording experience from Mac, from mobile, it works on PC too. You can do that with something we call Smart Address and our Designate mode. Without too much detail, it's pretty simple. What you would do is you would configure this to run in a Designate mode, and then you would launch either your webmail, you can launch an iPad, which I have an iPad here, and hopefully everyone can see that all right. And I would address my email as normal. So you can see I'm sending this to Fred. I can send this to, let's see, Jake Smith, just like I did before. I can have whatever I'm going to put in this email. But the key here is going to be, how do I tell the system that I want this particular email not just to go ahead and record to Fred's record because we know he's there, but that I have a specific account I need to tie this to, or an opportunity. Well, when you use our Cloud Edition, it includes smart addresses, and all I have to do, and I'm on my iPad, is start typing in the account name or the opportunity name. So let's just do my good old ABC company here. And it treats it like an email address. It's a unique identifier. And when I click send on this, the next time my automatic sync runs, because I've configured it in the cloud, it's going to see this email. It's going to see Fred and check for a match and find it. It's also then going to see this smart address right here, and it's going to add that extra layer and record the email back to ABC Company for me. This works with a variety of standard or custom objects in Salesforce as long as they have an activity history so that we have a place to record the email back to. And we have a lot of customers who are recording back to custom objects like the deals object or items that are really critical to their business workflow because they need to report off of that CRM data to be able to do projections or team coaching opportunities. So if you're on Mac or mobile or webmail and you still want to do controllable email recording, you can absolutely do that with our Cloud Edition. And again, it does include options. Let's get rid of this. To sync all emails if that's the method that you want to use, and it depends on your unique use case. So that's email recording. I'm just going to take a quick glance at the question panel, make sure I didn't miss anything along the way, and also take a look at the questions that were submitted beforehand. I know that we did get one question from Mark who had asked about email integration to Salesforce from a cell phone. So I know I just showed it on an iPad. It works exactly the same if you're on a phone. Doesn't matter what platform type, we do support anywhere that you have access to your Exchange account. So hopefully that helps you out, Mark, with your question there. Let's see. And as far as sales prospect tracking in Salesforce, I see Patrick's question. One It would probably depend a little bit more on what you mean by tracking. One way to do that is by tracking back emails, and another you'll get to see with our meeting notes integration. So Patrick, if you have additional insight on what you're exactly looking for, absolutely let me know and I'll go into more detail on that for you. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next topic. I like to talk about the features that pop up when I speak to customers the most, and email recording is definitely one. Calendar sync is definitely another one. So let's just switch back here real quick. Okay, so when you are on your calendar in Outlook, a lot of us, most of us, work mainly from our Outlook calendars. That's how we know where to be and who to call at what time, right? But we need to get that data either because we want to or because we're told to back in the CRM. These things can be tied to important metrics. So we actually have an option. I'm going to pull up one other box here in a second. We actually have an option to display or relate items back to Salesforce when you're syncing. So the first thing I'm pulling up, there we go. And if you want to implement calendar sync, absolutely, you can let me know or reach out and we can do a consultation if you feel more comfortable with it. But for our desktop and desktop plus editions, you would come into our configure panel here and you would simply enable the calendar sync. Now you can see it does work with contacts and tasks as well. And you would turn our calendar sync on, and the rules on this screen, and we do have documentation on it, but they essentially allow you to make this a one-way sync from Salesforce to Outlook or Outlook to Salesforce, or by default, as you're seeing here, it's a bidirectional sync. So anything I create in one system will mirror everything I create in the other system. Private items excluded by default. With the sync turned on here, so that's the first step. The second step is to actually have appointments. So we can create this invite, fill it out however we need, and I could send this. And what our system would do when it syncs is it would add this to my calendar in Salesforce, and my time would get updated, and I would see that on my dashboard screen when I log into CRM. But the reliable CRM data part of this is knowing, well, who am I meeting with? What is it related to? Why does this matter? Are my team members or my staff members spending their time with the right accounts, and how much time are they spending? How many prospect calls is it taking to move something to the next stage? All of that can be reported on with the right fields. So I'm going to click this link to Salesforce button here and pop up this window. Looks very similar to our record window I showed you a few minutes ago. And it's the same concept. You can tell our system, based off of the recommendations here, you can search, that you also, when it syncs, I've just picked an opportunity, click OK. Relate this item. Don't just sync it to my Salesforce calendar, but when you do, also relate it to this contact in this opportunity. And we do offer, I don't have any currently in my setup, but we do actually offer support for standard and custom fields on events within here. So if you need not just did we have a meeting and who was it with, but you have required fields on your event page layout in Salesforce. What event type was it? What type of call was it? You can display those right here within the panel and basically require our users to also input that data all in the same step. So we can very easily not just sync a calendar, but get reliable information on even a field level regarding this appointment, who it was with, why the person had it, what the next step is, and so forth. So from a calendar sync standpoint, Desktop and Desktop Plus can be very powerful. Now, if you have our software and you don't see those fields here and you're interested in adding them, you can always reach out to me and my team. I'll throw my contact info up on the screen at the end, and we can certainly make sure that those get enabled for you if they're not already. So that's the calendar syncing, again, from the desktop, from my local Outlook setup. What do I do if I'm a Mac or a mobile user? Well, it's very, very similar. Let's go back to Cloud Edition. Let's back out of this. You see, Cloud Edition offers the same, for the most part, functionality that the desktop does. It doesn't have a UI, but I can control exactly how my data is going to move between the systems. So in this case, I am launching my calendar sync settings, and you'll see I have a couple of options. I can choose to sync my entire calendar, and that's just going to make them a mirror of one another. I can choose to sync only the items on my calendar that are related to Salesforce records. So my internal appointments would not sync, but my appointments with contacts and prospects would sync because our system would find a matching record. I can also choose an even more refined sync where I can choose to only sync calendar items that I designate. And I can do that with a category code if I'm using an Outlook product, even if it's Outlook on a Mac, or I can do that with a smart address. This one's a little bit harder to demonstrate just because the different modes all somewhat automatically run in the background, but I like to mention it because the Cloud Edition gives you, in most of these scenarios, very much a set and forget experience. So if you are on the management side and you're looking to say, you know what, I just want all of my team's appointments with contacts or with prospects or with accounts automatically syncing, and I don't want my users to even really have to think about it. You can pick this option right here that I have selected, preset and lock this, and once your users connect to the Cloud Edition environment, our system will just go ahead and move those items. So it makes for very reliable data, makes for consistent data across a bunch of users, and in most cases doesn't require them to take action. You want more control over it, you can certainly use our designate mode, and in that case, yes, your user has to actually apply a flag of some sort, but it's usually a fairly simple process. And as a reminder, Cloud Edition works wherever the user is interacting with their exchange. So if you're sending appointments out from your iPhone, the next time the sync runs, it's going to see that, it's going to run these sync rules, and it's going to move that information to Salesforce the way that you've designed it to. So that's our calendar sync. I know I'm covering a lot of information, possibly a little bit quickly. So I'm just going to stop again before we do our last use case and see if there are any questions. And I'm checking through the questions that were sent through before the call as well. And I know Nick had asked about increased organization. And Nick, if you have an exact use case in mind for that, I'm happy to help speak to it a little bit more on point. I know with the syncing that you can do, specifically with calendar, your users can get their schedules and their calendars organized pretty simply. And again, like I said, it can almost be automatic and set and forget if that's the method that you want to use. So hopefully some of the things I'm showing you today help you see how you can get more organized. And if you have another scenario that you'd want to run by me, absolutely let me know. Now, the last point that I'm going to talk about, and it's somewhat on a different note, is our meeting notes options. So let me just switch back to Outlook. Great. Okay. So we began noticing a couple of years ago now that more and more of our customers were asking about options to either log meeting notes or update fields based on sort of call or meeting feedback. The use cases on this do vary. The solution is fairly customizable, so I do like to talk about it for a few minutes. But whether you have reps that are meeting in the field with accounts in person or in-house teams that are making calls, interacting with customers, capturing the details that come from those interactions can really increase the value of the interaction, and it can give you more valuable CRM data too. So our Desktop Plus edition was designed to meet this. And again, it includes all the syncing and the email recording that you've already kind of heard me talk about. And it adds this different layer with two different ways that you can enter information into the system depending on where you work. So first things first, my version of Desktop Plus here on my PC has this super tiny icon right here that I'm mousing over on the side panel. And that's going to launch what we've termed our meeting recap feature. And I'm going to push through, I have the trial version running, so I'm going to just skip through this real quick. But essentially what you do is it gives you the option, and this is customizable on a per account basis, to prompt your users or your team members to either answer customized questions or update Salesforce fields that you need based on interactions right from in their email. You can change what you need to show. You can change the answer sets that are shown. And the whole goal is to make it super easy to enter feedback without having to go to the CRM, because in many cases, users just don't go and do that. So hopefully, because we're embedding this right inside of Outlook, right where they already are, the likelihood of them providing that feedback back is greater. And you're going to get reliable data because it's all going to be in a consistent format and consistent method. So I'm going to show you real quick what this looks like, and we also have a mobile version. So first you check what you're going to do, and the most popular is going to be meeting notes. Once we bypass all of this trial talk, the first thing I have to do is I have to pick which opportunity this was for. So I'll pick one. The system will then, unless I picked one I already did, nope, there we go. The system will then walk me as a user through a series of questions. As an admin or the person deciding to implement this for your team, you design everything that's shown here. This is a call type field. These are the pick list values from Salesforce. As an end user, I don't know that. All I know is I need to tell you that I did a demo call. I can have multi-select options. I can have a single select option. I'm going through this kind of quickly because there's a lot here. But you get a feel for how easy this is, by the way, if I just hung up the phone with somebody or just got back from a meeting, I'm updating 10 fields in Salesforce right now with very little thought about it. Now I know a projected deal revenue, obstacles to closing the deal, some notes that I need to enter. This screen's telling me it's going to write to Salesforce. And with just a few clicks and maybe a little bit more mindfulness if I had actually had a discussion, you can see that it's telling me that it went ahead and it updated Salesforce. You can also see behind the scenes on the back screen here. Let me get out of here. There we go. The system's also designed to send the manager a meeting recap email, and it was pretty instant. So if Jill had a meeting with a customer and Sally was my boss, she would immediately receive feedback here, see all of my answers to the questions. And if this is a big deal that I have to try to close, or this is a big case that the customer has come back and forth with a lot and we have an SLA and I need to make sure it's taken care of properly, I have a big opportunity, or Sally in this case has a big opportunity to coach, to manage, to jump in, to help with pipeline projection and so forth. Super fast, just so you can see, pulling the iPad back up for a second, we do offer a mobile version of this. So for your reps in the field who are on their phones all the time, popping in and out of meetings in person with clients or prospects, they have the exact same experience here to do a recap that I would on the desktop. And I just clicked one that I've already done, so that's not helpful. Let's try a new one. So I can go through, and you see, and I won't go through the whole thing here, but you see it's very simple to very easily move right through the exact same line of questioning and answer those items. This syncs directly up to Salesforce. So again, whether I'm mobile or I'm desktop, I'm updating Salesforce fields in real time. I'm submitting my information. And of course, when I finish this, or if I finish this, it's going to email my manager. So I'm out doing 4 site visits in one day. My manager's getting real-time updates on how those meetings are going. We can update those projections. I can see that you actually didn't get accurate information for something, or a stage has moved backward, and I can call you, or we can talk when you're in the office and figure out what next steps we need to take to try to make sure we close that deal. So the experience is the same. The UI on this one is just a little more mobile and smoother, but it's very similar, and you move through this and then it'll sync up to Salesforce once complete. So that's our meeting recap feature in our Desktop Plus edition. And that was the last item that I had in my example use cases for talking about reliable CRM data. And I think recap really is a good picture of that because, again, whether I'm Mac or mobile or PC, I have the ability to update Salesforce fields, and everyone on my team will be filling them out the same way. So from a reporting perspective, I think it's really neat. Now I'm just going to check, because I know I'm running right up on time, to see if there are any other questions that I can help answer before I wrap up. I did see a question come through from Ken about capturing context from Outlook into Salesforce. So As I mentioned, we do support contact syncing, and it works either in the desktop PC version or the cloud sort of server side version. So if you need more information about how our contact sync works, it's very similar to what I showed you for calendar. So I'd be happy to send some more information along to you regarding that. So thank you for that question. I'm just going to see if there's anything else here that I might have missed. It doesn't look like it. So let's just go ahead in here. And as I'm wrapping up, then I do like to remind everyone before I end the call that we have a variety of online resources that can help you either get more out of your LinkPoint Connect subscription, or if you're looking into one of our solutions, it can kind of give you a better picture or a more in-depth picture of how we solve certain use cases. So you can visit our online knowledge base for step-by-step instructions or videos. You can learn more about our editions and how they compare to one another to find the best fit. Every edition does come with a 14-day free trial if you're looking to evaluate software. Sometimes the best way to find out what the best fit is going to be for your organization is to really test drive it and make sure that it's doing everything that you need it to. We do have an in-house support team, so if you have any technical or configuration questions, you can always reach out to them. And my team on the customer success side is always on hand to help consult with you, talk one-on-one to find the right solution, help you with adoption and rollout, or review best practices to help you maximize your use of our software. So I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope that this session helped show you how we can help solve a variety of email integration challenges, but also demystify how to make CRM data, not just populate, but make it reliable, consistent, and provide more value to you as you're looking to truly maximize your ROI on your Salesforce or your CRM investment. If you're already a customer, I look forward to speaking with you. And if you're still exploring solutions, I thank you for considering LinkPoint 360.